The shine on that one. All right. Now I would like to address this arts funding issue. Now this all reminds me of a humorous story of the traveling salesman. Let's say that the taxpayer is a farmer and the government is a salesman. Well, the farmer says you can spend the night in my barn, but do me a favor, don't stick your willy into any of the 3 holes in the wall. Well, in this case, the salesman's willy represents the taxpayer's money, you understand. Well, the government, like the salesman, can't help himself. Sticks his willy in the first hole, it feels good. Sticks his willy in the second hole, it feels even better. Sticks his willy in the third hole, and it hurts like hell, and it won't let go. Well, in the morning, the farmer comes out, and he explains. Behind the first hole was my wife. Behind the second hole was my daughter. And behind the third hole was a milking machine that don't let go till it gets 50 gallons. This arts funding is like a milking machine, and unless we shut it down, it's going to rip our dicks right off.
Tonight's show is brought to you by the new U.S. government, improving the arts by severely limiting them.
Her name was Rodin, and she lived in the ocean off Japan.
Pepperito, give you hyper-diarrhea. High pepperito, give me hyper-diarrhea. Whoa, give me hyper-diarrhea. Whoa, give me hyper-diarrhea. Whoa, give me hyper-diarrhea. Diarrhea, give me hyper-burrito. Give me hyper-diarrhea.
Eat!
Well, I've been working on a thing. It's sort of like stummies.
Go on. I like what I hear so far.
It's exactly like stummies.
And the twist is?
It's a much bigger pill.
I like a lot. Is it ready for production?
Yes, sir. It's ready to go.
Yeah, but have there been any side effects?
Yes, sir. A few side effects.
Well, that's okay. As long as there's no flipper babies, right, Don?
Well, there have been a few flipper babies.
I thought perhaps the end of days was upon us, but it turned out it was just a disoriented old lady in a champagne-colored Toyota Avalon, crashing into my world like DMB circa 1996. Who's got their claws in you, my friend? Into your heart I'll beat again.
Tie a yellow ribbon round the old oak tree. It's been 3 long years. Do ya still want me? If I don't see a ribbon round the old oak tree, I'll stay on the bus, forget about us, put the blame on me.
Did you know that every 7 minutes a black person is born in this country without soul? Hello, I'm B.B. King. Won't you help Don Simmons and the thousands of others that suffer from this tragic disorder? Its cruel symptoms can strike anyone. Let's take a look.
I think the Republican Party has done one heck of a job. Don't you, June?
I'll say, Ward, we Republicans have turned this country around.
Safety and good mileage are the 2 things I looked for in a new car. That's why I bought a Volvo station wagon.
Hi, I'm president of the David Hartman fan club here in Glendale. I've even met David Hartman once. What a neat guy.
Chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chim cherry. A sweep is as lucky can be. Chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chim cheroo. Good luck will rub off when I shake hands with you.
This is B.B. King saying, won't you please give, so that Don Simmons here and so many others can become useful members of society.
Or below me a kiss, and that's lucky too.
Right to blacks without soul. Post Office Box 1305A, Atlanta, Georgia. Thank you.
In the paper today, tales of war in every way, switch your turn right over to the TV page.
Hey now. Hey now.
Don't dream it's over.
I'm married to a woman.
These are all my regulars. You strike me as a angry top. I'm clean, but you do have to glove up unless you're down for some frottage.
Frottage?
It's French for rubbing our dicks together.
Dude, you don't have to be ashamed or anything.
But I'm not a fudge packer.
Then why are you packing fudge?
I'm not. I'm a very busy actor. I'm just here trying to get away for a weekend and do some fly fishing.
Dude, you are in a fudge factory packing fudge.
Oh, that does it. I will sue you.
For what?
You can't just call somebody a fudge packer and get away with it. Hey, is that fudge packer Tom Cruise?
Here's John Wayne at a party where he was honored after receiving his Best Actor Oscar for Rooster Cogburn. Oh, look, at the same party, it's America's eternal teenager, Dick Clark. Hey, Dick. So that's your secret.
Jolly Rancher 82, never get henchmen.
You know, that's not my real name.
Well, how was I supposed to know? I used my real name.
I just thought, you know, the Monarch, I thought you were into cosplay.
Real name. And I am into costume business, not costume play. Shh, they're here. Fawn over me. Treat me as if I am candy.
For shame, Doc. Hunting rabbits with an elephant gun.
Elephant gun?
That's right, Doc. So why don't you go shoot yourself an elephant? You do, and I'll give you such a pinch!
We're going to start our volleys. We hope you like the show. Everything is ready. We're raring to go. We'll give you all the latest songs and dances full of pep. We're gonna start with Hacha. Just watch this chorus steps.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Fantastic Comics Presents. I had a piece of paper. I swear I had it before I started the show. Welcome to the 128th episode. I know just a few weeks ago we talked about money and comic stores and the whole inflation and all that racket, all that hullabaloo. But I wanted to talk a little bit more about it today. We're going to be talking about all this stuff. We're going to have unboxings. We're talking about new comics coming out. We're going to talk about the show going forward, Fantinuum. But first, I'd like to apologize to everyone that is here or are going to be here. And I wanted to get this up front at the beginning of the show because last week we had more people just on a Fantastic Comics Present show, normal run-of-the-mill show. We had more people here than we normally do. I mean, if there's a guest, there's a reason for showing up. And it was a horrible performance on my part. I won't apologize for tonight's show, though. I don't know. I was really rattled. I think what happened was I was just like editing the Patreon video, which is not a video, it's just an audio. And I was kind of burnt out. And since I was talking about it, it was just like a real nuts and bolts show. Hello, everyone.
We didn't come to borrow any money. We didn't come to borrow any dough. We didn't come to borrow any trouble. We just stopped in to say hello. Oh, hello to you, Mr. Penny. Please don't think that we are hammy. We just stopped in from Alabama. We just stopped in to say hello. Oh boy, you said it. We just stopped in to say hello. And don't forget it. We just stopped in to say hello. And I'm hello. Hello. Goodbye.
And since I'm like, a man, I can apologize for being a little late today, too. I lost track of time doing work. Hello, Fantinuum. You're going to ask me about if I saw your post and if you wanted me to have you join the show. Fantinuum is going to be, this is part of the show notes. Fantinuum is going to be at San Diego. Not next week, it's the week after, I think. Or maybe it is next week. Oh, one more week. There he is. One more week. So next week, you will not be at your home watching the show. You'll be partying in San Diego on a Tuesday, I assume. And maybe we'll get a live look in at what Fantinuum's doing. If he has time to take video and send it to me, we can also play that, possibly. But I don't think Tuesday is like a real show day. Unless it is, because, San Diego is so ridiculous. Creo. Yo, good evening. Doc Post a lot. Good evening. Jilby Pill in the other room, or maybe gardening out back. Hello. Wait. Oh, wait, sorry. I want to go next year for my 50th. Well, you better get tickets now. Actually, I saw on eBay, I was told by a customer that you could go on and get your tickets at on eBay for like $1,100 for 4 days. There's different prices for different reasons. I can't imagine if there's a hotel attached to it, or maybe there is. Yeah, there you go. Sequential Geek. Everybody, I hope everybody is all right also. And if we're not, let's just pretend. Oh, Fantinium doesn't live in SF, does he? We're just all. Oh yeah, exactly. Thank God. Thank God. If I lived in SF, it'd probably be like way far away from anybody, right? And hopefully, your internet connection is okay. Can't be as SE as I'm waiting 18 minutes. It's Denver area. Effing sucks here so bad. Wow. I thought Colorado was, well, that's a state. So just gonna scroll. Oh, old school comics. Are you the St. Louis one? I can't remember. I think it is. Because at the end of last show you said go Cards, and now your team and my team is fighting it out. Last of the opening top of the ninth. We were down 1, 2 outs, and a guy on. So I have no idea. Some people like Denver, excellent. My buddy lived up in Denver. I'm sure if he's here, he could tell you about it. Wait, I think it was Denver, right? Well, it's all over. Anywho, hello to everybody else that's going to be here after the fact. We're going to talk about money in comics. We're going to talk about, we're going to talk about Fantinium. He's going to be on the show in some capacity next week. We're going to try and send him to things to do during the show, and maybe we'll have like a full report the week after, something like that. But also hopefully we can, connection in convention centers is not always so great, but if we can air live and have Fantinium take us around the show, and then we could just kind of like David Letterman, send him around to like the ham meat section of the convention, and maybe like we can ask questions for them. Maybe we can do a whole bit. Anyway, it would be during store hours. So I don't know how much we can actually do. It might be like a 10-minute stream. It might be just like, a few minutes at best. Or maybe we'll just have them walk around and it will just be live. But either way, we could do something like that also. I definitely am going to send him down to go see Reggie Simmons, who is, what's his name on YouTube? Let me see. I think I have a banner for him. Reggie Collects. That's what it is. It's a 1G. There you go, right up front. Reggie Collects. These are YouTube channels that I frequent when I have time. Although Shane Holla, not as much. And believe it or not, John Boy, not as much. But I don't want to obviously Dodger Nation, but it goes without saying. But yeah, Reggie Collects. He's a great guy, and he has a comic book that's coming out, which we'll be carrying in the store. And there is a cover F for FU if you didn't get to the show. But if you send a friend, that's what the F is. If you send a friend, you can get the cover F. And so we've got Fantinium going to check that out. Maybe, just maybe we can get 2. One for Fantinium and one for us. But yeah, looking forward to his comic, and I'll be talking about that soon when we get the order for it being sent and stuff like that. Or hopefully we can get a real quick interview with him at the convention, or maybe you can convince him to go out and lift some weights with you. Maybe you can question him on his bicep manhood. Fantinium, you go up to him and go, what you lift? What are you squatting, right? That's what you're. How far down do you go when you squat, huh? And just kind of stand up to him. And then go out and eat, because I'm sure you guys would totally get along. But yeah, get that comic for us. So that's some show business that's going on. Some store. Oh yeah, just for anybody that's stumbling in here for the first time, I'm Yule. I talk about comics. I own a comic store in Berkeley, California. I do mail order, and I just talk about stuff that's coming in, stuff from a comic store's point of view. I'm a fan of comics. I'm an old man, and just kind of observing everything. I feel like I usually can roll with the punches when it comes to comics, but sometimes it's tough for a variety of reasons. Sometimes because of the comic books, sometimes because of the creators. Let me just take a swig of this beer. But I also think I want to change the show just a little bit. In the 25th minute, we're going to be doing an unboxing so you can see my lovely face. But I also want to talk about some of the stuff that's going on in the store or things that people bring to me. Definitely, if it's something that I hear more than once, I should probably talk to you guys about it for a few minutes. Case in point, I'm not real big. Here, I'll just turn. No, we'll wait. Case in point, Thor, God, Love and Thunder. We showed the clips, and I'm hearing nothing really good up front, whether it be on YouTube, or by people coming in. And I just hear it's not really that good. It might be like the third best of the movies if they were ranking the Thor movies. So, down the lower half. And I'm sure because I hated the last movie, but everybody seems to like that one. And then I hear people are actually like more, accepting of the second movie, which I thought was like utter garbage. I fell asleep for most of it, but my review of it is a bunch of onomatopoeias of things crashing and burning and blasting and smashing. And it was like, you think that would all be good, but that's the entirety of the goddamn movie. And I just can't stand it. I didn't like the first one all that much. I didn't like the first one at all. Have I gotten so old that I don't want to watch Marvel movies? Maybe I never did. I hear a lot of, I never could believe that I would be able to see all this stuff. And I agree. I never believed I would see it, so it's nothing I ever really necessarily wanted to see. I like comics the way they were. I don't need to see some Hollywood version of them. I think they get some things right and other things they just ignore, and then they get things wrong totally. Kind of like those Superman movies where he's like, I understand you can do different things in movies, and that's where a lot of people get all bent out of shape. And we're going to be talking about mainly more of this conversation. You don't really like something the way it's going, and it's not for me. That's the conversation. That's it. It's over. The conversation's over unless you want to get in trouble. Or people angry at you, or just it gets super nitpicky. And I like getting nitpicky, but I don't know. I feel like mine's a different style. Whereas I want to know more about why especially when it's like, whatever. We'll be talking about it. Yeah, Thor. Does it sound like it was that good? Playing for humor. I thought the last one was that way. And I really didn't like it. I did watch, I kind of forgot who it was when I was like talking about somebody else that makes movies. But this is Taika Waititi, I think is the name of the director. And he did Knives Out. Jill and I saw that. I thought that was a very good movie, but it was reminiscent of like Clue or something like that. So at least it wasn't a remake of a movie. So, but as far as like Thor, they just kind of took Planet Hulk and kind of just like made it lame and Thor's, and it just didn't ever really feel really earned, much like the movies. Let me see. Comic Tom is full of it as well. I would rather hear truth from creators like Perch and TC. Well, I don't know what Comic Tom says other than like he hypes comics. Hey Craig, how's it going? Oh, whatever. Oh, damn, it was Ryan Johnson. See, that's what I screwed that up. Yeah, that one was actually really good, but again, it just felt like something else. Oh, he did the Rabbit movie. I haven't seen that. I'm not really into Nazi movies. I don't like the character as a villain. I don't really like. I'm just not a fan. It's funny that people say they're not fans, but I really am not a fan. I don't want to see it in my. I don't ever want to see any story. I mean, there's always an exception to every rule, but I don't want to see the setting of World War II ever again. You know, I mean, I don't if you can't tell the story of that time period without saying what time period, like if you're just talking about a guy lying in bed staring at the ceiling and he's having like an existential crisis and it's set in that time, but nothing else would make you understand that. Maybe the fact that he has a transistor, if that. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm fine with Raiders of the Lost Ark, but when he said I'm sick of Nazis, I mean, I hate these guys. Yeah, that's it. Or he's tired. I'm done. I'm tired of it too. And I mean, Spielberg still had to do a freaking World War II movie to get an Oscar. You know what I mean? Yeah, that was Jojo Rabbit. That's the one. So Rabbit. I heard it's pretty good. Now, see, the exception of role would be, Captain America. But do we really need to see the origin of Captain America again? I know that and if so, do it like Grant Morrison did for Superman, where they took like 2 pages. I don't even think it was 2 pages. I think it was 1, and that was it. And, All-Star Superman. And, well, that's fine. New generations will want their own World War II movies. You don't have to watch them. That's true. But you think Michael Bay probably did the best, right? I mean, once he killed that pony, right? that the World War. I mean, if not all the way back when I actually saw a movie that had Indiana Jones in it. And he said, I'm sick of these fools. And I was like, wow, you know what? What a revelation. I am sick of these fools too. And then it was a comic book called Ethel and Ernest. And Rory Root, when I worked at Comic Relief, loved Ethel and Ernest. And I read Ethel and Ernest because, I'll read something that's not superhero. Quite often I would rather read something that's not, mainstream or superhero. But Ethel and Ernest is just a love story of these British cats in frickin' during World War II, when all the shit's going down. And I don't give a fuck. I'm like, that's it. I'm done. All right, what is this? This is very well packaged. I've already cut it, but I haven't opened it yet. And this is from CGC. I had no idea that we still had stuff out with them. But we have one book. Let me get the back so nobody can see what it is. All right. An unboxing. Ooh, I should have had a header for that. Here, we'll do it just like this. Oh, great. I don't know which side's. Okay. Oh no, this is not. I don't think I hope I saw an upside down number. I don't even know what this is. All right, let's find out. Oh damn! Oh, I'm so god. Hey Eli, here's your freaking book. You owe me money. Oh, that's great. It's a 6.5. That looks cool. They'll be happy. Look at that. Who doesn't want a giant sized man thing in their life? A number one. He's going to sell it, I bet. But That's good at 6'5". Looks like the spine's pretty good. It's one of those thick, those giant size versions. It's got this really classic ad. This is something I'm going to be talking about later on tonight when we talk about Batman in Mother's Basement. We got a guest, Black Bean and Noodle. Let's see. Oh, wait. Add to the stream. Black Bean and Noodle time. Excellent. Anyway, congratulations, E-Dog. He had asked me about it, and I did not remember. I've been looking around for it, every once in a while when I'm cleaning up back here or rebagging stuff. And hilarious. Well, I mean, that's how long it's taken to get this. I mean, this is part of that, whatever show it was when I unboxed a whole bunch. The Action Comics number 9. I think Ms. Marvel number 1 was in there. Kamala Khan. And yeah, so, but I got another box. Two unboxings, everybody. This one is more of a personal, so I already know what it is. They packed with peanuts. Let's see how they package this. So I got this one from an auction. A couple of Mondays ago when I interviewed Joe Casey, who you can listen to that interview on Patreon. It's longer than the visual one is going to be on YouTube and Substack if we can get that pulled off. Patreon only allows me to upload videos of a certain size. I don't know how I'm going to get a video over there unless it's live to them only. So I have to kind of figure that out. Black Bean and Noodle Time guy. But that's a failing. But even still, it's different. It's what you pay for. But you got more info, and I hope you enjoy it. And if you haven't listened to it yet or haven't become a patron of ours, let me tell you, any time is the right time.
My last name is Costanza. That's Italian. So you and I are kind of like countrymen. Huh? Paisanos! 650 your change. Ah, yes. And I always take care of my paisanos. So here's a little something.
Antonio!
Si!
Vieni qua! Questa miserabile patrone!
Yeah, maybe like hang out at our Patreon. Anyway, Comic Link, you can rescue comics from auctions, hopefully cheaper than you need to pay. I'm just trying to collect my Spider-Mans and get a deal. And a lot of times you can't really trust things unless they're graded. And like David, just like Craig says, better graded by CGC. I don't fully agree. If you're going stylistically, they've got a better presentation. I think the grading will be just as good as if by CBCS, hopefully. Still, they've had, they're equal in the grading. It's just less respected financially. But if that's not your goal and you just want to get it done that way, otherwise don't at all, because personally, this book is coming out of the case eventually. I wanted to get Spider-Man 151 all the way to 251, just 100 issues in a row. Pretty much, my time of when I was reading Spider-Man, but didn't really collect every single issue. So it was kind of from like this one spot all the way to here. It went a little bit longer for Spider-Man. Quite often, actually, We went about as far as what was it? The black suit and stuff like that. But I don't need to get that far. I kind of got out around McFarlane, actually. Yes, I know. Now you're hungry. He has a way of doing that to people. He's not the type to waste an overcooked egg. I agree. CBS sells for at least 10% less. That is exactly true. And also, again, if you want stylistically, they usually have like banners that they make for CGC. You can make it look really sharp. It's a I don't know. I'm not a I just want the books in my possession. I want really nice books, and if they're not books I can touch and read, it's not really, this is a fake grade. This is a piece of plastic, and I mean, it's not a fake grade. It's not a real comic book to me. And I feel sorry for all the books that are encapsulated by people that, well, I don't. I mean, everybody has a way of celebrating what they enjoy their own way. And, as we get in, if for the longest time I was just totally against it, but then I wasn't really buying the books. And then when I got it at my, when I decided what I wanted to collect, I realized, well, damn, it's better to, well, I mean, sometimes you take a chance and it works out really well. But if you don't want to take a chance, or if you just want to, make an auction, bid and win, this is what I got. I got Spider-Man 214. So I have 213 and 215 also. Look at Namor. Look at Namor there. It's got a classic advertisement. When those facsimile editions come in and I see these advertisements on the back of the books, I get a sort of PTSD. I'm like, whoa. But I really appreciate seeing how comics were made that way, because they're not anymore. PGX still out of someone's garage. Well, I can't really tell. I don't know that answer. But I don't think they're well respected at all, really. At all. But that's not me. I've never had the pleasure. This grading is there's always going to be like some sort of defect, unless you get like that really super special, never been. It's what you're really willing to live with. I have a customer, he bought a 1.5 Avengers #1, and it was restored. So it got a purple label. And some people right off the bat would say, no, I wouldn't get that. Like, I was thinking about one of the worst sins that you could do as a person selling a comic book is have cleaned up a Marvel book, the Marvel chipping, cleaned it up, made it look better, presented it better. People get bent out of shape when that happens. You know what? That coupon that was taken out, or you wrote in it, and you drew stuff in it, that's fine. Some person stamped it or did paint over the top because it was no, not at all. That's not good. All right. I also have to. All right. So one last thing when it comes to talking about the store, I have to let you guys know. All right. Last store thing. Directly. I got this bump on my finger. Look at that. It's horrible. Horrible. I've had it for like over 3 years. I thought it was a wart. We don't need to get into it needs to be operated on. So there is a possibility that I'm going to have Black Bean and Noodle Time working the store on a Wednesday. Or we actually are just shut down for that day. If that's the case, we'll let you know. It's in the future, but not the far future. I mean, as far as me wanting this thing off my it's just a little ways away, but it seems like it's so far, and I'm really excited to have to wear a big old finger mitt or whatever they give you. They're just gonna wrap it up. But yeah, it's gonna be like I'm gonna be awake, but I'll be all drugged up. Finger will be drugged up, and they're gonna cut it out. And I'm excited, but I probably won't be around for Wednesday. So I could actually see us being closed on a Wednesday. It'll be next month. There are some weeks coming up where there's not a whole lot of things coming up, so cross our fingers. But for any of you that are worried about not getting something because you can't make it on any other day, just let us know ahead of time, and we'll get you hooked up. All right, let's see here. Sequential Geek says, depends. I passed on an Avengers #1 in 2002 for $350, and now I would even consider a purple label. Do you think Marvel Milestone reprints will be sought after? I hope not. I hope reprints. So I'm trying to think about the Marvel Milestone. That is the silver border cover that came out in like 2004, something like that. I could be wrong. Yeah, I don't think so. I've seen, people slab it. It came out a while ago. It's the only way I can get this X-Men #1, Spider-Man #1. I've even seen like that Morbius one, Amazing 101. There's the $2.99. I can't remember what it cost. And silver, but from the 90s. Yeah, exactly. You see that comic came out in the 80s, early 80s. It fits in my what I want, and I want it at a cheaper price. So yay. Or cheaper than what I've seen it go for, because it's ridiculous the way, if it's a high grade and it's slabbed, like you said earlier, it's a certain amount of money. That's what we're talking about today. We're talking about money, and we can talk about it in a lot of different ways. But as far as this book here, I got it cheaper, and I'm happy. I'd lost out on a couple others, but I don't need to get more. Not right now. What are you doing? Looks good. Have you been doing that all along? Anyhow, there was this report. Let me see if I can find it. ICV2. Comic-Con. They run the numbers. They report on the numbers. The guy does it. I don't know if anybody is really paying this person. He went back and archived like Capital City and like early days of Diamond and stuff like that, and what numbers were. I don't know if he did Capital, but I think so. Anyway, along with ICV2, they did this like joint report, and sales of books were like up amazingly in 221. Now, of course, a lot of the article talks about, the pandemic and then coming back from the pandemic. Then, of course, 21 is going to be higher, but it was so much higher. And there's a lot of numbers and there's a lot of talking about stuff like that. And I don't think it's necessarily just me, because, there's other comic shows on YouTube that are store related. And some are doing well, and then some are not. And then some are, hanging in there, doing what they do, getting out there. But, it's tough. It's very tough. And, when you see these numbers and you say, well, okay, you're talking about manga a lot of times. The manga in the States sells really well. But I have been having a bitch of a time getting it in. I could order a bunch from like the Amazon or the Targets or whatever the stores that are having them and try and get in on them before the customers do. Maybe at a discounted price. I doubt it. So then what's really the reason for doing that? So, you try and stock the stuff, but it's not readily available because it's going in other places when it's getting there. There's other stores that are larger. You see, when you get a chance to jump on something, you have to jump on it, whether it's late in the series and then you're waiting to get to the early, you're making an investment in this stuff a lot of times. And like I was told by Nerdy Girl Creates, I think I got that right. On sometimes with her on Wes's show, Thinking Critical. And it's I can't get this one colorless that she told me is really good. So I'm going to invest in the second and third one when they come out, and then hopefully I'll get that first one when it comes out. And that's just like a new series, when it's like One Piece and on, whatever, Full Metal Alchemist or I can't even think of all the different ones. Even the early, even ones that are not that new, like they're new, but they're not super new. But like One Punch Man, and like new to the States, obviously. Chainsaw Dude, whatever he's called. Chainsaw Man? Is it just Chainsaw Man? One Punch Man, Chainsaw Man, all that stuff, man, is not really easy to get all the time. And it's not really necessarily reflective of what's going on in the comic store. So, all right, well, what about comic books? Comic book sales. Some are good, some are not so good. When they're crowdfunded, sometimes those are the highest grossing comics even after that, like Berserker. Berserker, the Keanu Reeves comic book, did a crazy amount of money. And, and I was like, well, shit, is that even something I should even care about in the store? But they had a plan, and they said, it wasn't going to be released until it was completely done. It was going to be lavish and hardcover and all this other stuff. And then they came out and they did like a shit ton of different covers. Fantino knows. And it's awesome. It looks great. It's taking its time, but it doesn't suck. And it's a good product. And I'm sure the people that are waiting for their monster books that are going to be coming after the fact are probably, really anticipating, because it should be really super special. But that doesn't necessarily mean like the comics are selling that well. And when they are, we're finding out that DC is mostly just selling Batman books. Now, of course, most of what they print are Batman books. But there you go. I mean, there's sometimes where they're doing well. Again, I was watching Thinking Critical. Wes was talking about how like DC's Pride anthology comic came out, and that did really well. And sure as shit, the few that I bought for the store sold out. It did really well. It made me like confident, but you could totally see the difference between that and like the Marvel one. And Marvel's, I don't know what it is about Marvel. They are usually representative of their characters and don't usually, I don't think they really like throw them away over the course of the year, but maybe they're just not like fully put out there. But even still, I guess it just feels like, they're not using real characters that are in the universe, whereas the DC Prides was actual characters, whether you like her or don't. That Joe character, Green Lantern, has been around now, and they've invested time in the character, and she's not going anywhere. And if she should go somewhere, it's going to be important when it happens, because they're not going to just throw that away. But Marvel, a lot of times, it's kind of like, oh, what we got going here? What do we do all this time? What can we change right now? But maybe people see that as like DC does that more. I don't know. Comics in the store, like Avengers, isn't necessarily selling very well. Comics in the store, like Saga, still does very well. But not everywhere, of course. And I'm sure there's a place that sells Punisher way better than I do. But there's this weird enjoyment of superhero comics, and then there's like this weird I don't know, it's the collecting part of comics is difficult to gauge, and what people like, and you know, I can see how people buy their comic books, and I hear about people finally catching up after this like vacation that they had, and they got another one coming up, and they're going to be reading their comics. And you know, I understand binging's fun, but what if you find out later on that you don't like what you're reading? How is that? Let me see if anybody has anything to say about that. All right, let me see. Jasper, Plan 9. See, now this is like a confessional time right now. I'm behind and you're double timing it. Excellent. Kaiju number 8. Is that a manga? I know there's a lot of companies are doing manga books. There's a Kaiju Max, and then there's Kaiju Kung Fu. I can't remember what it's called. Yeah, anyhow. Good. Read your comics. It's very important. Let's see. They have Thinking Critical has an entire channel revolving around being upset that you can't order Mexican food in a Chinese restaurant. I like that. It's great. Yeah, totally. People, it's so funny. Like, oh, these people are just like outraging. You know, I tweeted. Oh, here I'm gonna do this. Let's see if we can do this right now. It's 8:56. This is a wrestling minute. This is something we talk about in the store, and this is something I'm going to talk about right now. Did you hear about? Oh, see, he didn't dig this. He's not going to dig this. Jordan Grace, she's a wrestler. She's pretty awesome. She came out and talked about He Who Shall Not Be Named, and said that they couldn't hang with the wrestlers today. This is a male. And then she said, like, all this stuff about the person, and then she said, I hope he rots in hell because he's a dick, you know. And I think she kind of got, you know, yelled at by some professionals. I definitely heard like Conan talking shit about her. And I kind of think like shouldn't have said anything. Speaking of people that shouldn't have said anything, Dave Meltzer said that Io Shirai is going to be looking to get out of her WWE, looking forward to leaving. And then she did like a barf emoji, kind of in response to him. Barf. I know I had another thing about wrestling, but that's your wrestling minute. That's what we talk about at the store. That's one of the things we talk about at the store. Let's talk about some comics that are coming out tomorrow. Wait. Let me see what this says. Oh, no, at Jasper. Very good. You guys talk. I'm going to talk about some comics that are coming out tomorrow. Hopefully this can all tie in. We have a bunch of brand new number ones coming out. Star Wars The Mandalorian. Ooh, James Jean Genty is doing the penciling. Carl Story on inks, and Michelle Rosenberg on colors. I don't know who Bucky Barnes is, but I hope he's just as good as the original. Daredevil number 1 That's right. Thank goodness we still have the legacy numbering. Chip Zdarsky is writing. Marco Cicchetto is on art with De La Torre on other pencils, I think. Wait a second. This is the same team that started out Daredevil #1 oh so long ago. Yes, it is. But it's after Devil's Reign. And this is a jumping on point. It looked good. It read good. I was wondering what they were going to do with Elektra and Daredevil, and you get that answer in the very first issue. So, hooray. Next up, we have Barbaric #1, The Harvest Blades. I thought this was a one-shot, but I don't think that's true now. I think there's another Barbaric one-shot happening. Either way, I'll have that too. This, believe it or not, is it's Mike Morecci. For some freaking reason, I always think it's Tim Seeley. Here we go. Voltron Assembly. Excellent. Anyway, Barbaric #1. I recommend it. It's really cool. And maybe this is all about, well, it shouldn't be because you got the dude at the bottom. Dude, lady, wizard thing. Fantasy, it's good. It's also very violent. Eve of Judgment, if you are an X-Men fan, if you're an Avengers fan, if you are an Eternals fan, Kieran Gillen writes 2 of those properties, Immortal X-Men and Eternals. And there's going to be a big old event. I recommend anybody that wants to remain in that event, but only gets one of those titles, should only get that title and the miniseries. If you come into the store and say, you know what, I'll get this also, that is something you might want to do. But I wouldn't necessarily recommend it for most people. You know, the customers that have to have it all. I know you. I know you. We've got you covered. Everybody else, just think about it. But this is a prequel to everything. You might as well get this one. If you're going to get anyone going forward, you might as well get this one. So this is like the primer. Kieran Gillen is writing it. And, well, if they're going to make me read a prequel story, Pascal Ferry doing the art is a winner. And I've looked through it already. It's wordy, as Kieran Gillen comic is, but it looks great. At first, I was like, the first couple pages, I was kind of like, and then I got into it, you know, kind of flipped ahead, and then I was like, you know, this looks like Pascal Ferry, and I went back to the title page, and it is Pascal Ferry. So happy. On the cover of the issue that I have, it didn't have any names. Impact Winner. Are you a fan of the Audible series Impact Winner? If you haven't heard that, you can listen to it on Spotify. I just checked it out, and it's something that exists. But I didn't listen to it. I'm doing other things during this time. But I did read this. Look, it's right here. It's about vampires and this woman named Darcy. And the issue is a standalone. You need not read any other issue. It looked really good. I dug it. I dig the sword that she's wielding. I enjoyed the story. It didn't suck. It is vampires, but like I said, it was a nice, tidy story. I recommend it, especially if you listen to the Audible series. It's kind of a cheat as far as a one shot. This is a #1. It's a one shot. Dark Crisis, Worlds Without a Justice League, Superman. Also, it has an Aquaman story. You reading Dark Crisis? Why not? It's the game-changing event that's going to move everything going forward. Or it won't. But either way, you buy DC Comics. Or you don't buy DC Comics and you want to buy one, just buy this stuff right here. Behemoth. Okay, I want to let you know. This is a comic book called Behemoth by Black Caravan. This is a comic book called Space Lady by Behemoth, right there. I'll talk about Space Lady in a second. Behemoth, it has artwork by J.K. Woodward. If you have seen his work before, you know it's good. It's usually IDW. It's usually Star Trek related, but he's also done some stuff like Fallen Angel with Peter David. When it left DC to go to IDW, Woodward was on the book. Yeah, Woodward, and he has a nice little style here. This young woman is developed. She's kind of like turning into an inhuman. You know how messed up those people usually are. I could grow horns, or I could have teeth that I guess that's horns. Yeah, the Inhumans. Nonetheless, I read this book. It read really well. It wasn't quite horror. It wasn't quite like, basically there's like a government team getting together using these freaks. And I don't know exactly where this story is going to go because it has a lot of different ways. So as far as like a first issue and me not telling you too much about it, it looks very good and there's an open-endedness to it. I don't know exactly where it's going to go, but I could see it going, oh, obviously it went there. Nonetheless, it was pretty good. I mean, for a small company, if you don't like Marvel or DC, or you're like, oh, I can't stand Image, you might try this one out. It was good. I liked it. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Armageddon game, opening moves. I actually got extras of this because I want to get people into the Turtles. I seem to be growing that audience a bit. So I'm going to see if this is a boom or bust period for TMNT. And I'm looking forward to the Armageddon game. So there you go. There's my pimping for that. Again, another one shot. X-Men's Hellfire Gala is here. I was reading through it. I've got about 10 or 20 pages in. It's fine. It really, everything I've read is not at the gala yet, and that's kind of disconcerting because there's only so many pages. I hope they get on with it. Nonetheless, it was pretty good. They thought the art was okay. I don't really have much more to say other than I only read some of it. Flavor Girls by Archaea, which is also Boom. I don't know if this is for all ages. I read the first, like the intro, and it was actually very good. I liked it a lot. It was everything you want in an opening sequence. You understand everything right from the beginning. There's mystery and reasons to keep reading. It is very, very manga influenced, and I can understand a lot of people not liking, the sparseness in the faces when they get all wild and stuff like that. It has a very Ben Dunn quality to it, and that's probably a mean thing to have said. Maybe, maybe another notch above. Nonetheless, I thought it was a pretty good opening, and I could see a lot of people enjoying it. It has an $8 price tag, and there are going to be more issues. But I recommend this. I didn't get a lot of them, but as long as there's, and even if there is, a lot of times younger readers are allowed to read a cursed, book with cursing in it. I think it, as long as there's no, big old, F words and stuff like that, I think it would do really well for a lot of people. Captain Carter continues with the 4th issue. Come on in and get it. I only have so many. Superman, son of Kal-El. There is a brand new character being debuted in The Dreamer. Wow. Tom Taylor doesn't let up, does he? Tom Taylor. We got to get Fantinium to go talk to Tom Taylor. Now, doing the what is it? Who's the other dude? There's Tom Taylor, and then there's the one who does Batman. Tom Price, is that what his name is? I can't remember right now. 8 Billion Genies, number 3. Okay, so what happened between you and me, people out there? Let me know. I didn't see anything online about 8 Billion Genies being optioned to be a movie. Netflix, any other streaming service. I didn't hear it already got nominated for an Emmy. Since they'll allow anything to be an Emmy-worthy thing. Anything. I mean, you don't even have to have it in English. Anything goes for the Emmys now. It used to be television, but anything can be an Emmy now. So why not 8 Billion Genies? It's already better than all that other shit that got nominated. It sold really well after the fact. And I had ordered some number 1s to complement the number 2s that came out. And I sold those also. And I just let me know in the comments down below if you don't know now. But yeah, it did really, really well, and I'm glad. I thought it was a very good first 2 issues. I can't wait. I have it right here somewhere, and I can't wait to read it. Yeah, 8 Billion Genies. Charles Soule, the Souffle. It's rising again. Oh, and this looks like the last comic that I'm talking about today. Miss Meow, number 2. This is a Merc comic. That's the name of the company, MERC. Like, everybody is part of this Merc world, and it's very ET, TikTok, in your face, and celebrity, celebrity superheroes basically, except the Mercs. And they're very, very catty with each other. They're not all women, don't worry. But the fur is flying, people. There's other cool characters in the Miss Meow. This is the main character. And then there's going to be other like spin-off series to go along with the Merc universe. But I enjoyed the first issue. I found myself laughing. And I'm looking forward to reading this. It's, I don't know. I was never really into the J. Scott Campbell Danger Girls or I don't know what other booby books. That's what I usually call them, booby books. Sometimes the booby books were superhero books, and that's kind of embarrassing, and I can understand why people would want to change. But you got to read your audience. So it's Miss Meow. Does Miss Meow have an audience? I don't know, but I only have one more number 1, and it's been sold out, and I don't know if it's going back to a second printing. So you better get here early for Miss Meow number 2. Maybe we could get an interview with one of the creators or editors over at Merc Publishing someday. I know a guy. I've been on a show with a guy, and he's on the West Coast, so it'd be hardly as much an imposition as it is any other time. He definitely can't be caring about any Padre games. And that's the new comics that are coming out tomorrow. Woo! I'm looking forward to a couple other ones, seeing how people feel about these. Oh, here's one I didn't talk about. I haven't read this yet. Sean Lewis, he's done other books for Image, and I think he's done stuff for DC also, but I can't think of what. Anyhow, that's a new Image book. And this book, this cover here from Behemoth, this is Space Lady. I only got a couple of these because that cover is whack. I mean, look at that cover. And the art on the inside is pretty similar. But you realize, obviously, it's stylized. And there is a story being told, which is better than, you know, a lot of really pretty artwork. And, you know, outlaw, undergroundy type comics are cool with some people that like staples and books. And in this one, I only got one copy. Number one, because I didn't know what it was. And number two, it cost $14.99. But it's a Fantagraphics book, or it's really a magazine. I paged through this. I read the first page. Let's see what I read the first page. It feels like it's a series of strips, probably something, I'm going to guess, that was like a Patreon exclusive type thing. And every week you got a page. And every week for however many pages this is, unless it, you know, it's Christmas holiday. There's like a new added chapter to the story. I paged ahead. And I saw some really awesome, super cool, bloody action. It was awesome. And this art style is, again, stylized, because let me show you. This first page is the prologue right here. And who does this remind me of? This is G. Davis Cathcart. But I can't remember. Maybe like Mark Beyer or somebody like that. And that's the prologue is this guy not getting up for a meeting. And he's like, you take care of it. He's like, look, I work for you, but I don't want to do this again. He's like, you take care of it. I own the fucking company. And he hangs up on the guy. He's like, do it. I fucking told you to do it. And this guy's like doing crack and all sorts of other drugs. And it's just like fucking messed up. And then I looked at the end, you know, and there's all this like serious, crazy action going on. I'm like, where did we go to get to this situation? And I'm just looking at the art, and every title, you know, has there's a chapter with a title. And then I realize what this book is. It is and I want you to know, I don't watch these movies. I don't watch movies, obviously. I don't watch these types of television programs. I didn't like the Rick and Morty did it. I just realized there was a South Park I watched recently, and I'm like, oh my God, this is a heist movie episode. But they did it so long ago before everybody does it now. Nonetheless, this is a heist comic book magazine. Here's a comic book right here. Here's a magazine right there. All right. I like this. I'm going to bring it to the store. I should have one customer that wants it at least. But do I have more? And are you out there in the audience right now? I know it's an oversized book, and you're delving into crazy waters when all you ever did was buy something that would fit inside a bag and a board. Silver Age, Golden Age. The hell are you going to put this in? This isn't really a magazine sized. And I ain't getting you life. Where do you put that? Do you have a shelf that just, you know, you have magazines on? It's a commitment. It's $14.99. I'm going to bring this to the store. I recommend it. I liked it a lot. It's captivating. And I like being able to get stuff like that, because when everybody is bitching about the comics and how much they cost. So that's one of the reasons why, you know, comic sales have been up so high, is that the price of the books are ridiculous. And they're just going higher. You know, Marvel, bless their souls, has a plethora of $3.99 comics. But those are few and far between at DC Comics anymore. It's like they took the lesson to Marvel and they said, well, let's ramp it up even more. Less quality for more money. This quality. It's all Batman. I don't know if the sales of the comics are really all that great, but what I do know is, and it's partially because of the layout of the store, comic collections are not selling as well for me. I have customers that like to special order things. I have a couple of people that shop the new bookshelves, and I'm getting new comic customers all the time. But for the most part, I am selling issues when I'm selling things to people. I would rather, I mean, when you're doing the trades, it's as long as they're a company that keeps the stuff in print, it's much easier to get people in on that stuff and then branch them off into other things. You can almost think ahead for them because you start like really understanding their what they like. But a lot of times you kind of need those individual issue sales first so you can understand what the comic's all about. Like, am I going to buy a Space Lady? Well, we'll see how this one goes. All right. Let's see. 8 billion. 8 billion. If you had one wish, what would you wish for? Don't answer. Wait, Jamie Tyndall. Who is that? Is that the Space Lady? I don't know. Well, I do too. Keep making comics, Jamie. Hell. All right, let me get to this video right here.
Here! I'm down here! Down here!
Mr. Sheldon?
All right, everybody, we're gonna take a trip down to Mother's basement. Can you hear us walking down the steps? Click, 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 click. Let's see here. Do I have a banner for this? I can't remember if I made one. Don't think I did. It's all right. Yeah, that's a good one to go on. I remember next week it's going to be a crazy it's going to be crazy episodes. We're going to hit the bell for notifications. Join the Fantastic Comics page if you're over at the Yule Comic, or the Facebook page. It might only be a YouTube thing, and it will only be, if that's the case, on Fantastic Comics. So hit the bell for notifications, and if we have Fantinuum running into the bathroom after Tom King, that's who it is. Tom King. Maybe I said that. Tom King or Tom Taylor. Just don't do the joke about, are you Tom King and Tom Taylor? Because they do that on themselves. It's not funny. I'm going to share my screen as soon as I remember how to do that. Share screen. Boom. And this is also something I was talking about on Twitter yesterday. I'm at Big Blue Yule. I wouldn't say something so inflammatory as this is the reason why DC Comics is dying on the Fantastic Comics account. But I did on the Big Blue Yule account on Twitter. And I showed a picture of something that I'll show you later. This is the last time I did a Batman comic, it was written by Harlan Ellison. And I forget, I think Gene Colan did the art. And it was all about Batman having no work that he needed to do. Every time he thought something was going down, it didn't actually end up being that way. And that was the whole story. And kind of in the same vein is this is a night in the life of Batman. And Batman is done with his patrol as he gets home, and he's tired. But he's got a couple of things he needs to do first, like, some repairs to the Batmobile and some computer work. But then he's like, oh man, I almost fell asleep a couple times. I'm going to just slack off and go to sleep. And Alfred's like, all right, the repairmen are here. The painters are here. They have questions for you. And he's all, no, we can't do this. And yeah, he has to do it. He stays up. Then he gives Jason Todd a ride to school. And he has to talk to his principal. Then he gets a flat tire, and you can see where this is going. Lucius comes to talk some paperwork, and just as he's about to go to bed, Julia shows up. And Julia is Alfred's daughter, and she wants to take Bruce to a play. Oh, Itzhak Perlman. Who? Shit, I was going to look that up. I can't remember. Tell me in the chat who that is. I can't remember. Or maybe my buddy over there. Oh, he's not here. Oh, he is. Anyhow, they're gonna go out, but he's gonna go to sleep. And then Vicky calls, and Vicky's, Vicky Vale. She's into Bruce. I enjoy this whole story. It's going to end at the end. This whole book is going to end. There's no next issue of him trying to get to sleep. The entire story is him trying to get to sleep and not being able to. He walks in pain and says, you know what, I'll just take a bath. Vicky Vale shows up and starts giving him demands. Kind of talking about marrying someone, kind of not talking about marrying someone. It's up to Bruce. He's got to hold his eyes open in order to stay awake. Then he has to go and pick up Jason. And then there's an adoption agent. He adopted Jason. And now, it's the 6-month check-in. And he's like, oh my God. So it's like hours later. And finally, as she's leaving, Batman's being called for. And he's like, all right, I gotta go. And so he becomes Batman. So we get action scenes of him breaking up a heist. And he's like, oh, that, at a liquor store, a convenience store. That didn't take care of this. What's going on? I better go meet up. And they're talking about these rape victims over the past night, couple of nights. So Batman goes and he has to take care of that. And that's how the rapist got away all those times, dressed like a horribly dressed woman. Great art by Gene Colan. Excellent stuff. I thought it was a fun read. Nothing too serious. And at the very end, Batman just says, F it. I'm going to go and sleep over here. Maybe get a day's, sleep through the day and then go home and catch some Z's. Excellent. A very unimportant issue of Batman that I read. But that's refreshing. We don't get too many issues like this anymore. I wonder if people would have a problem reading a comic that just was, something that wasn't super serious. Unfortunately, Doug Moench is a good writer, but this is a lot of the way Batman was back then. And it wasn't a very good selling comic book. And although I look at this and I'm like, oh, wow, this is very fun to read. And it's so different and it's humorous, but Batman's still Batman. He gets a little pumped up when, his 8th or 9th win when he was Batman. But, they don't make comics like this anymore. they also don't have ads in comics like this anymore. And I wonder if they did hustle and get people to, support their magazines and have advertisements that we obviously like. I was talking about the facsimile. We were talking about the facsimile editions where you get the letters pages, if there were letters pages, and the old advertisements. And I get the PTSD from the green army men. It's only $1.99. Back when I thought 6 to 8 weeks was the longest amount of time there could possibly be. How do you get money in an envelope and send it? Although these were at Kmart. I should have got the Warlord. That would have been pretty cool. Another thing they don't do in comics these days, for the most part, definitely at DC, they don't do this. They don't have letters pages. And this is what I was talking about on Twitter, that, if you want to see where DC started going downhill, it was when they took letters pages away from their comics. And this was pre-New 52. But they were we want to drive people to our website and, go to the call, go to the Preacher tab, talk about Preacher, but I want to get in conversations with people or read entire diatribes from people like I'm on a Lost forum. I just want to read 5 or 6 carefully worded or edited letters and maybe a response. Maybe someone that had one point of view and another that had another point of view, and someone that just always likes something that is being put out in front of them. This particular issue, Don Newton had just died, and he had done Batman 379, which was just a few issues prior to this one. So I'm assuming Gene Colan, so when I was reading Batman, picking it up, it was a lot of times it was the Gene Colan issues. And even though I had a pretty good respect for Gene Colan, it never was really all that exciting. Now that there's no more Gene Colan, I really enjoy reading these Batmans. But here you go. You got a letters page. You got a lot of people talking about Don Newton. Here's one I liked. I am extremely sorry to hear of the death of Don Newton. Don's been one of the finest artists in the field, and DC will be hard put to find a comparable replacement on his books. It's tragic how it happened. In a way, that could have been avoided. But what can we do? All I can think to do is shed a tear and set aside a Batman in remembrance. Rest easy, Don. Wow, I didn't look into what happened, but so that's I love looking at these old letters. I enjoy a letters page, and I think DC Comics. See, the thing is I could go on Twitter and I could be one of the so many people that said something about George Perez before he died. And I came on YouTube and we did a whole memoriam. We talked about him beforehand. Because we actually got together for the Neil Adams memoriam, and then I mentioned George Perez, and then that's what happens. But Twitter is not going to be around tomorrow, and even if it is, what we like here are comic books. And I think fans, you want to know when fans got done a disservice, and sometimes fans got lampooned in the letters pages. So it's not like it was necessarily an honor being in one. I was on Critical Blast, not to be confused with Thinking Critical. And Bill Willingham was on the show. And I told him about a time he let someone have it in a letters page. And I thought that was the funniest thing. And it was great to be able to say that. Thankfully, none of the letters I ever sent ever made it in. How embarrassing that would be. All right, let me do this really quick. That's right. It's almost the end of the show where we thank everybody that is a member of our Patreon page. We got that really cool interview with Joe Casey. You will be the first people to know how you can win a comic book. And when the new, or when I finally edit the episode for YouTube, which will be probably next week, hopefully, I will again make that offer out there to my customers. I want to be able to make it to people that watch the show that are not away from here, or that are away from here. And so there's a way to do that also. The comic book that I'll be giving away is a good one. And I would love to make the comic that Joe Casey is writing a success, if only in our store. You know, Image could be like, look at all these sales here. What's this blip right here? Oh, that was Fantastic Comics. They had a promotion. If you did this, then you might be able to do get this. And everybody went ape shit for it. That's what I want to have happen. So there you go. Something to look forward to. But if you are a patron right now, or I think you get it as soon as you sign up, but it might be when you finally get charged. You will hear the interview, and you'll get extra things that I'm not going to. On the YouTube one, I'll have like an hour, but we went well over an hour and a half. I think it was close to like 2 hours. And there was some pretty interesting conversation that I'm going to have to cut out. Some things that were restated, so I can maybe cut that one out also. But restating it sometimes is even more powerful. And some silly Yuleisms that nobody really needs to know about. So then the video will just be this. But we also did a one of our little shows, one of our little features here on the show. There can be only one, and I had Joe Casey have to pick something from 4 choices. And I think it was a pretty different interview than the other ones I've heard. If you went over to Comics by Perch right now, it'll probably be posted on his page. Hopefully it stands out that it's posted on his page. But it's a good long interview with him and Joe Corallo. Too many Joe C's. Joe Corallo. And that one's really good also. And they've interviewed him a few times. So I listened to those ones, and I tried my best to not repeat anything I heard there. And since Casey's pretty much a YouTube recluse, this is him poking his head out. He's like, oh, I'm looking. Let's see. Did anybody ask? I have that Warlord figure. Awesome. I would love to have One and Done comics again. I agree. I had a buddy in high school, and all he read were short stories. I like longer stories, but you can. Oh, look, speaking of Joe Corallo. Oh yeah, they reprint those. Okay, so Joe says that letters pages are being reprinted in some of the omnibuses. I know in like some of the Marvel ones they did. Oh, he died of a heart attack. I see. Yeah, well. I should get that Simpsons quote. He would call it the Widowmaker if they were married. I don't know shit about inflation. I do know. I heard from Aaron Meyer on Twitter that now is the time to start taking a look at eBay. Of course, eBay charges a lot these days. So again, if you're looking to buy comics, this is the time, because people are starting to get a little antsy. They maybe charged charged comics to their credit card, and were thinking they could flip them, or that these would be flippable at another time. And unfortunately, when times are tough like this, people are getting deals. I think it's almost impossible to get a great deal on a super key, unless you're like my customer that got that 1.5 restored Avengers 1. Okay, so here's a good question. And I was going to talk about, so, where's this money? Where obviously manga, obviously Scholastic, a shit ton of crowdfunding, not unlike Keanu Reeves. And then this dude, Eric July, who's a YouTuber, he's got a quality following. And the thing is, like, you could have a quality, like, you could have people that follow you, could have people that watch you, but how many people are actually gonna, buy what you put out there? That's what you have to ask yourself. I got, I can think about how many, just let's say, like, I'm printing up Fantastic Comics t-shirts. How long do I want to last with them? How much do I have to sell to break even? How much do I have to buy to get a cheaper price? On and on and on. What sizes sell more often than not? All of it. You might only do like t-shirts like once a year. That's why comic books go out of print. Trades go out of print. Before Black Hammer is leaving Dark Horse, they don't have all of the Black Hammers in print even before that. I'm assuming like there might be some contractual problems for that, but they didn't think ahead to have that stuff ready to print out. This dude, Eric July, is already made in 24 hours. I told Jill about this earlier. $1 million. And he already had the comics printed up. I'm assuming this is like, that'll be like the first stash, and then the other stuff gets printed later on. He has a hefty price tag associated to this book. It's like $35, and then shipping and handling is like $9. I looked into it. They are not going to, it didn't look like they had anything that was retailer tiered. So it's like, you're buying this because you're a fan of his and you want to buy his comic book. Keanu Reeves got a ton of people to go. It wasn't Matt Kent fans. It wasn't Ron Garney fans. Although every Matt Kent and every Ron Garney fan should probably have bought this book, Berserker. But Keanu Reeves fans did. I assume they do not go into the store and buy the Boom comic book too often, because I don't have a lot of people that come in and said, "Oh, I'm just waiting for that Boom, or that Berserker to come out, that Keanu Reeves book." I don't think I've really got I have more new customers coming in for Fortnite comics than I do for the Berserker. I might have new customers buying a comic like Berserker that they might not have before, though. It might not be that. And I mean, every comic store lives in its own little bubble. Are you able to sell, new books, trades? Am I a back issue store? That type of thing. And I like to think we're a little bit of it all in that regard, but it's always comic related for the most part. Magic cards. There's some magic cards too. But that shit is crazy. It's just the whole thing. Eric July creators will be infighting and suing each other over racism within 2 months tops. Well, the thing about Eric July is that he's not loved by everybody. And the thing is that people that don't love him are saying some out of control statements, and it's like, just don't say anything. Just let it be. Why don't you just let it be? Sometimes I wonder, maybe Joe can let me know, and I don't even know what to call these people. The rabble over here and the rabble over here. Rebel. Are they all just working us? Why does it always happen when a campaign starts, a campaign meets its goal, a campaign is ending, a campaign is being distributed? Then people talk about the quality. And every time that happens, there almost seems to be like a boost. You are a successful Kickstarter multiple times, at least 2. Getting all these people together and putting a book together. Do you then like call up kayfabe style and say, hey, can you talk some shit about us? Because we just started our campaign. We've got 24 hours to go. Can you make sure to really slam us so that our people can know to pay attention to this? And vice versa, because it all seems like a work sometimes. Everybody's got to have some sort of infighting and drama and hair pulling and biting and whatevering. Well, you got to lean into it if you're a show and you want like a whole bunch of strangers to come in and talk about it. I don't want to do that though. I just want to, I want to thank everybody for tuning into this episode. I think it was more fun, I feel, than last week's. It's a bunch of Geralds. I've been having problem clipping videos because I gotta say the season of South Park where a lot of people don't like it is the Gerald season where Trump gets elected, or I should say Mr. Garrison. But I was in such a state of denial, or maybe not denial, amusement, that I could always laugh at what was going on. And so that's the reason why I really like that American Horror Story from that season. It was hilarious. And that South Park was too. And Gerald's views on social media and just fucking around and stuff like that is, you got to be able to laugh at it or else. I know someone that tried to get Chuck Wendig into an anthology just to get hate from certain people, but it didn't work out. Yeah. Bad press is better than no press. Well, maybe. Oh, thank you, Jasper. Yeah, hit like. I'm going to leave you guys all with a video, not a music video, but a video. If you haven't seen this before, you should check it out. And until next week, thank you very much and have a good night.
Mary Brown?
Yes?
Sit down, Mary Brown.
Thank you, Doctor.
Mary, I've been going over your tests. How did a nice girl, like you, come to contract a social disease?
Then my worst fears are confirmed. Oh, the shame of it.
Now. You are unclean. But there's always hope. Tell me how you went astray. Tell me everything.
I won a beauty contest here in Iowa. I thought I'd try my luck in New York. It wasn't like Iowa at all. And then I met a theatrical agent. Gosh, that sure is different than the sarsaparilla we have back home.
Well, we like a little more sass in our parilla. Now, Mary, I didn't get you up here to dish out a lot of hooey.
Oh, that's all right. I already had lunch.
You see, there's a social side to this business we call show. Now, let me see your gams.
What? I was humiliated, though oddly excited. Well, he told me he could spot fresh talent and sent me to see a colleague of his named Dutch Monahan. It turned out to be a wild party.
Here, dunk your whiskers in this, sister.
You guys sure like your sarsaparilla in this town.
Get her.
Shut your trap or I'll box your ears off.
Keep your hands off me, you big palooka.
That was my first exposure to New York intellectuals. Gee whiz, my first sophisticated New York party. Which one is Cole Porter?
When you realized that your body had been rendered impure, what did you do?
I made another foolish blunder. I married my high school sweetheart, Ken. My shameful affliction was exposed at last when Ken began showing symptoms of the disease.
Goodbye, honey. I'm going to work.
Goodbye. Ken, what's wrong?
Oh, my eyes.
Had my sinful ways caught up with me? Had I inflicted Ken with my secret shame? Ken's vision began to affect his work.
Mike! Sorry!
Ah, today's reckless youth, with your fast roadsters and your rumble seats. I want to show you something, Mary Brown, for your own good. Take a look at the germs that have ravaged your system. Come now with me to the clinic. What you are going to see here is not pleasant.
I didn't realize we had such specialized clinics here in Iowa.
When science is on the march, nothing can stand in its way.
Who is that pitiful creature?
Let's call him Pete Jones. Pete's first troubles were with smoking cigarettes and drinking beer, weren't they, Pete? Get back! We don't have any cigarettes! Sad, isn't it?
I've seen enough, Doctor.
I know you have. But have you? Resist temptation, or you may end up like Pete and Mary and Ken.